Welcome to Putz Parcel. My name is Lisa. Let's get dirty. If you haven't joined me before, I'm your average ingrown backyard gardener in zone 7A. Excuse me for being nasally. I have a head cold that has just kind of been holding on for 3 weeks. We've had some rain on Saturdays, and Saturday is usually the only day that I have to spend a lot of time in the garden. And today is actually Easter Sunday, so I'm a little behind. Sorry I didn't bring you with you yesterday, but yesterday I planted all of this. So in here I have garlic, onions, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbages. Here's some of my onions. The yellow cups. That's a self made up precautionary method. Last year I had an issue with robins coming and stealing my onions out of my garden. I guess they were using it for nesting material. That has never happened before. It took me a long time to figure out what was going on. They stole a ton of onion plants that I had purchased. So when I went back through and replanted, I put the bottomless solo cups on top of them to try to keep the birds from taking them, and it worked. They were not happy I did that, so then they started going after my popcorn, and they cut all the little plants off down at the ground, so I had to replant my popcorn. But anyway, back to what's growing on in the garden here. Down this row I planted 4 varieties of carrots. I did one teeny tiny little row. These are maybe a foot of endive and arugula. Then I did 4 different kinds of lettuce. I did 4 rows of beets. I did 1 row of parsnips. What did I put on the end? I think that's it. Down under those green baskets, that's another method to try to keep the robins from eating my onions, which there was just one sitting on my panel over there in Tomato Alley. This row is sweet peas. I usually put 2 double rows in. This year I only did 1 because my garden is never big enough. So I sowed this really heavily. I'm hoping that will make up some of the difference for only planting the 1 row. I have more onions down on the end there beside the green baskets. That is a tree bag or a bush bag used to put over top of my trees and my blueberry bushes to keep the birds from eating the fruit, or from or to keep Japanese beetles from decimating my plants. Gonna move over. Under this fabric I have mostly broccoli. There is some cabbage and cauliflower in there as well. Down on the very end I have some lettuce that overwintered. I had a bunch of spinach that overwintered. I pulled that out because I needed the room for other things. Blanched and froze that yesterday. And sorry, there's a little traffic going by today. And the parsley I just left alone. And there's also, I think it's a variety of romaine that's underneath there that overwintered. So that's what's going on in the garden so far. Today I'm going to plant some snap peas and hopefully get my potatoes started. Here's a bunch of potatoes that I saved from last year. I put them aside. You can see that they have all chitted very nicely. So these little sprouts that are coming out of the potatoes are called chits. They are actually the plant that will grow up from under the ground. So the first thing I'm going to do is figure out where I want to put these potatoes and how many I'm going to plant. I have Purple Majesty, I have Yukon Gold, and this is a new variety in here, except for that one, that I haven't planted before, called Eva. So this is a small potato. It really only has like 3 eyes on it, so I left that whole. I didn't cut that one. Cutting your potatoes or dividing them will get you more seed potatoes that you can plant. And you want your pieces to at least have 2 eyes on and be at least 2 inches in size. Now this one I think has got 4 on. I cut that one a little funky, but that had to do with the other side of the potato that only had 2 eyes starting to chip. And this one is a little large, but I only see a total of 2 eyes on it, so I left that one together as well. So give me a minute. I'm going to go get my pea fence out for my snap peas, and then we'll start planting the potatoes. Alrighty, so I have marked 15 spots where I'm going to plant potatoes. I don't plant a ton of potatoes. We don't eat a ton of potatoes, but my daughter really likes the potatoes, so I make sure I plant those every year. And this, from the potatoes over to the big trellis, is going to be my pepper area. And I did put around the bottom of this side of this huge trellis telephone peas. There are onions planted underneath. 16, I've got 16 onions under there, and the other side of the trellis I planted golden snow peas. In my area where I'm from, we call them sugar peas because they're sweet. Now, my daughter will eat sugar peas. I do not like them cooked or stir-fried or anything. I will eat a couple of them raw, so that's why I don't plant many of those. The telephone peas are new, and they can grow 5 or 6 foot tall, so that's why I chose to put them on here. And snap peas are a snack usually while I'm out in the garden, so I don't plant a ton of those. I'm also, like I said, not going to have enough room this year to get everything in that I want to get in. So I'm going to go ahead and dig my holes, and then I'll have you back. Alright, so I did all the holes except for the last one. Figured I'd bring you with for the last one. You didn't need me to see me dig 14 holes. So I'm just moving the compost aside. Yes, there is some plant matter in here from last year. I don't care. My holes are only about as deep as my little hand spade here, so 2 or 3 inches. Alright, my compost, let's talk about that. I use mushroom soil. There's a lot of wood matter in here. Mushroom soil is horse manure and the wood. I love this. It works as a mulch and a compost, so it'll decompose and make my soil all nice and fertile. My garden was, our area was a lot of clay soil and a lot of rock. So we did till this for 8 years, 9 years, I think. And then I just started, and we would amend it. And I just started a few years ago just putting 2 or 3 inches of mushroom soil on the top, and I actually plant in that. So it works as compost and a fertilizer. So I dig my hole. This is not a perfect science. I'm going to put about a half a hand of bone meal in there, a half a handful of wood ash in there, and I didn't open my trifecta. Trifecta comes from my gardener. Hold on a second while I get that open. Oopsie. Since I don't have a lot of this, each hole is only going to get a little Sprinkle, 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 sprinkle. Chuck. And maybe next year I will invest in the shipping to get some more. But my potatoes have not been doing great the past couple of years. And I'm hoping if I use some trifecta again this year, I'll get some bigger potatoes again. Alright, so I'm just going to continue with that process until I have my amendments in all the holes. Alright, so I have a potato in each planting hole. When I get down and I dig them in and bury them up, I will try to make sure that there's at least one chit pointing up. If the amendments I put in get mixed in, that's fine, it's not going to hurt anything. If some compost falls in the hole, that's fine, it's not going to hurt anything. And the reason I put the markers out is so that I know where my plants are. We are still getting evenings in or nighttime temperatures in the 30s. We should be done with freezes by now, so the potatoes will be fine. They're in the ground. They will be nice and protected. But once the plants emerge, if we're going to get temperatures in the mid to low 30s, I will cover the plants. If I didn't, they would still survive. They will grow back out again, but the plants will freeze, they'll die off, and then what happens often is your potatoes are stunted and you'll get a smaller potato harvest and smaller potatoes. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to bury these, and then we'll plant the snap peas. Okay, so the potatoes are all in. I did, like I said, try to make sure as many of the chits were facing up as I could when I backfilled the holes, because the chits will emerge as the plants. Potato plants can get very large. I have had potato plants get 3 or 4 foot high and very bushy, but I'm not worried at all about how closely I planted them. The Eva potatoes that I cut in half to get more seeds out of, a lot of people will tell you need to wait a day or two, let that side dry over, heal up. I've never done that. My mom taught me how to garden, and she was raised on a farm, and they never did that. I didn't even know to do that until, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 years ago. And I don't usually cut my seed potatoes, but those I had only bought 3 from a local nursery, so I got 4 plants. So I have 4 of the Eva, I have 5 of the purple Majesty, I think they are, and then 5 Yukon Gold, and that should be plenty of potatoes for us. And I could get upwards of 30 pounds from those few plants. Now I'm going to plant my snap peas. I didn't bring my pea and bean booster out with me, so the snap peas are not going to be inoculated. And that's what the pea and bean booster is. It has an inoculant in it. You can look that up as to why that's necessary or not necessary. And again, I share with you what works for me. You do what works for you. If you disagree with my opinion, that's fine. Just keep scrolling. If you like what I'm doing, hey, like and subscribe. All right, so I have 2 varieties here. I'm going to plant one along the inside of the fence and one along the outside of the fence. So this variety, sorry about that, is called Spring Blush. I did grow these last year. It says 2-tone snap pea, blush pink hues, green highlighted pods. They were really good. And the other one I have is Sugar Magnolia, and these are deep purple pods, so this should be a really pretty fence of peas. So since I didn't bring the inoculant out, well, that one's not even open, so I'm going to start with this Spring Blush. A lot of people will also soak their pea seeds to aid germination. I have never. And the reason I don't is because I don't know how many I'm going to need. So if I soak some and it's too many, I'm not wasting them. So I can't pick these up. Hold on, putting you down. Hurry. So I'm going to put this spring blush on the outside. So I'm just going to lay these approximately where I want them. And then I'm just going to come back with my finger and push them in. I also don't pay a whole lot of attention to the spacing guidelines on the seed packets. I put in what I want. I've never had any trouble. But these are 1 to 2 inches apart, and I might go back and put more in so that I get more peas. I don't really have issues with crowding, and I crowd all the time. I figure the more people that are invited to the party, the better. Oopsie, I'm dropping them in the grass. That's no good. Okay, so if I had brought the pea and bean booster out with me, I would have made a little furrow here, and I would just sprinkle a little bit of that in. I didn't, so I'm not. So I'm just, like I said, going to take my finger and push these in where they have landed, or where I have put them. And that'll be that. Look, it's simple. Boop. Yep, one rolled in that hole with that one. Not going to hurt anything. And you have to remember, too, when you're planting, not everything is going to germinate. So if you put a couple extra in, it's just security. Now we are getting ready to head into rain. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I believe Thursday. So I am not watering. And the frost fabric that I have over the brassicas is light and water and air permeable, so they will get some water. Probably next weekend I'll check underneath there and see how dry it is. This mushroom soil does tend to be very dry, so I have to keep an eye on watering using that. All right, so that's what I have in store to share with you today. I'm just going to go ahead and plant that inside row of the sugar magnolia snap peas, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me on Put's Parcel today. My name is Lisa. Go get your hands dirty.